October 13th, 2021. We're not going to get another one, so let's make it as good as we can. My name's Dave, and this here is Steve Edwards, and we are going to take you for the next hour into the wonderful world of mules and donkeys and answer any and every question that you could possibly have about these answers. And if you want to lower your standards a little bit, we can talk about horses too. So Steve, how has the last week been for you, my friend?
Oh, by golly, yeah, I had to put a long sleeve shirt on this morning and a jacket on top of that. 42 degrees. How about that, huh?
Yeah, it's been real nice. I went out for a bike ride yesterday with the boys. Last May, I purchased a bike, so I only got to enjoy it for, I don't know, a couple weeks before it got too hot to ride. And then as soon as it got too hot, put it away. Yesterday, felt pretty good. We went out there. I got cold on the way back from the ride, and the sun was going down, and it's starting to be the most beautiful time of the year.
How fun.
I'm very excited, but hey, we're not here to ride bikes. We're here to talk mules and donkeys. So folks, let me tell you how this works. If this is the first time you've ever been hanging out with us, again, my name's Dave, and this is Steve Edwards. And for 60 minutes, we'll answer any questions you've got. But before you put the questions in there, we would love to know that you're watching. So go ahead in the comment section, put your name, where you're watching from, and what the weather is like. We want to say hello to you. The second thing that we ask is that any and every question you've got, you go ahead and put that into the comment section, and we'll get to them. We cover just about every single question every single week. There may be one here or there each year where we don't get to it, but then we cover it the next week as soon as we get to it. So we'll answer all your questions. And then last, we just ask that you share the broadcast. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and click the subscribe button and then click the like thumb on the video. That just helps YouTube know to recommend our videos to other folks who are in the equine world. And then if you're on Facebook, you can like the video, of course, but we'd love it if you would click share and then tag any friends or family in the comment section and let them know that you're hanging out with us. So with that, Roger is watching in Milan, New York. He says it's cloudy and 60 degrees. And I think we'll just go ahead with Roger there. I think we'll go ahead and just hop right into our first question. I had a few sent in. And of course, if you ever are unable to join us live and you're watching this on a replay on YouTube later, you can go ahead and send your questions to support@muleranch.com and we'll get to them. The first question that I have this week, Steve, this one comes from Trey. And Trey says, I bought a 13-year-old John and Molly about 7 months ago from an older gentleman that got in a car accident and is not going to be able to ride anymore. Sorry to hear that. I bought them to hunt in the mountains. The Molly is just a packer and is good at her job. Just a packer. Just a packer. The Molly is a packer and is good at her job. The John is what I ride and has a good foundation. I've not done any groundwork with him yet. I have purchased your How to Communicate with My Mule and also the Colt Foundation videos. The issue I'm having with the John is, number one, he is very uncomfortable around cattle. I can ride him for hours and he never boogers at anything, it seems, but the moment when we get around cattle, he does not like it. We have about 300 head of cattle and I have used him to sort and gather, but he's not comfortable with it. I don't want to go any further with him around cattle until I can address the issue. I have your come along rope, and I didn't know if I should just start there or work with him on the ground to address it, or what your thoughts were. The second issue is he's buddy sour with the Molly. I currently have them in the same pen, but I'm building them separate pens. Will that help the issue, or is there something else that can be done? Thanks for the help. Steve, what do you say there?
Well, number one, buddy sour, it's because they are an equine. There's no change in that, folks. None. You cannot put them in another corral and say, okay, now they're not going to be buddy sour. No, just as soon as the two of them get close together, they're equines. That's part of their life. You're a predator. They're a prey animal, so you're not going to change that. But when you say a good foundation, this is really important to understand, folks. A good foundation says that if I point my mule toward a cow, that mule is going to move that cow. Why? Not because he really wants to, but because I communicate with my voice, hands, legs, and seat Go forward. Now, voice, shut up. Don't say a word. You don't need to say, come on, pony. You know what you're doing. I don't know what I'm doing. Come on, let's go. Fluffy, let's go. Please, let's go. Don't do that. Be quiet. Use what is natural. Your legs. Forward motion. Right brain, left brain. Okay? When you are training, right brain, go forward. Left brain, go forward. With your hands. When you say go forward, put your hands down. Here's what happens all the time, folks. The animal gets boogered, and they're telling them go with their legs, but yet they're holding on with their hands. Don't do that. Put your hands down, relax, get your hands no higher than one fist above your horn. Here's your horn, one fist above the horn. That's it. One fist, okay? No higher than that. No further to the right and the left than is your pommel. Your pommel is the part where your knees are pointing toward, that your horn sets on. That's the pommel. So your hands move no further than the pommel. Okay? That's it. No further than the pommel. That's it. Now, so with the cow, yes, I would prefer you to do groundwork first so that you learn how to communicate with your hands. The biggest problem that we have with riders is that we do not know how to use our hands. We always overdo it. Any professional that I know will tell you that exact same thing. Use your hands correctly. So with the come along hitch, notice I didn't say rope halter. I said come along hitch. With the come along hitch, teach your mule to move around the right or left. All right. And it's how you move your hands as to how they move their body. They already know because it is natural for them to turn on the forehand, turn on the hindquarters, and side pass. They know that. But you have to communicate with your legs and your hands, side pass, turn on the forehand, turn on the hindquarters. So let's go back. Not all mules and horses like to work cattle. Okay? But let me tell you a little story. I'm up in Colorado, and I'm training this very, very intelligent guy. Him and his partner, they have this business that do these GPS systems when people, not just people, but special ops, jump out of airplanes and helicopters and stuff, and they've got a special GPS system on them. These guys developed this GPS system. So here's my story. I'm riding along on one of the mules that I helped them get. And all of a sudden, I see a bear. And the bear is moving from my right to the left. And the guys say, hey, look, there's a bear. I said, let's go chase that bear. They said, do what? I said, yeah, we'll chase him right up a tree. No way. All right. I said, follow me. I jumped on this mule. Now, I trained on this mule. I know what the mule can do. But folks, I'm going at a bear. A bear. Get that in your mind. I'm going at this bear. And I go at this bear. And all of a sudden, this bear looks up, picks one paw in the air, and looks and turns and spins. He's running. Now, a bear, folks, can outrun a quarter horse. I know it. I've seen it. I've been on him, you know. So, and there's another stories behind that. But anyway, we chased that bear right up a tree. Right up a tree. That's a bear sitting on a mule. All right, another story. Here I am. I'm at Yosemite, and I'm packing freight, and I'm going down the trail. I got a long canyon down here. I got a straight up mountain right here. Now, all of a sudden, over in front of me comes this young bear. Now, these mules, they see bears all the time. All the time, okay? But that doesn't mean that the bears won't booger them. Don't think about taking and doing stupid things like saying, okay, now I'm going to desensitize. No such thing as desensitizing. Get it out of your mind, okay? I know guys that says, okay, they put a elk hide that they've been saving in the freezer for all these years. They put an elk hide out so that the mule will smell the elk hide and then not be afraid of it. Not. Okay, now let me go back. Here's the bear coming off. All of a sudden, the bear turns and looks over his shoulder and sees us coming. Now, I'm packing 5 mules behind me. And I'm riding a quarter horse because that's the rules of Yosemite. You ride a quarter horse and pack the mules. I'd rather pack quarter horses than ride a mule. But anyway, go on. All of a sudden, this horse kind of stops up. Now, this horse had already been there at Yosemite for 5 years. He knows bears. Now, here's this bear turn and come right at him. Now, what do folks usually tell you to do? When the horse gets ready to take off, they tell you disengage the hindquarters. How can I do that when I've got 5 pack mules behind me and it's straight off here, straight up here, and I got less than 5 feet on that trail? Can't do it, folks. That's when you got to learn how to ride and communicate. So when this bear turn started coming at us, it's just a young bear, probably 300 pounds, 400 pounds, just a young one. He's coming. This horse is backing up. These mules are going, wait, if the horse is scared, I'm out of here too. And all of a sudden I said, hey, get out of here, bear. Yeah. And I slap the side of my chaps and I yell at this bear, and the bear hears me, turns around and goes. So I use my legs and I push this horse forward, and I give my come along rope a jerk on my first mule, and the other 5 mules follow me. Now I got 5 mules behind me and my horse, and we're chasing this bear down the trail. That's a bear, okay? Ain't a cow, but it can be the same thing, folks. I've had many a mule that was a little afraid on these cattle to start with, and other things, crossing rivers, crossing tarps. If you don't have a good foundation, you are not going to get there, okay? So a good foundation, and here's the next thing. Just because they got a good foundation, can you ride them to that? Okay, that's the ticket thing. And I'll give you one more story, and then we'll go back to Dave. You ready, Dave? Here goes. I'm in Pennsylvania, and I'm doing a clinic. This lady comes up, and she says, I got all these people all around. And I said, what can I help you with? And all of a sudden, this lady speaks up, and she says, this mule is stubborn, just like my husband. I said, oh, how about that? So I said, what's the problem? And I said, climb on there and show me. She gets on this mule and goes to ride off. And the mule just goes off a certain short ways and turns around and comes back. She said, you see that? This mule's stubborn, just like my husband, won't go where I want him to go. She tried to stop him. She tried to make him do things, and she couldn't do it. I said, give me that mule. So I adjusted the stirrup, pulled her bridle off, put my mule rider's martingale on, got on that mule, and I started going forward. When I felt that mule sucking back about where she turned around, I just used my spurs. Right brain, left brain. Right brain, left brain. That made that spot, get this in your mind, that made that spot uncomfortable. Going forward, when it went forward, my legs got quiet. When the mule decided to slow up a little bit, right brain, left brain, right brain, left brain, that made that spot, again, another spot, uncomfortable. And I was able to go. She says, oh, that mule won't like going up that mountain. Don't go up there. And I was going up the mountain. Oh, don't go up there. And I went right up the mountain. So, oh, don't come back. When you come down that mountain, this mule is going to blow up. I went down the mountain pretty and easy and slow, using my hands, right, left, saying easy, right, left. Got down. She says, don't go near that trailer over there. That mule don't like those other mules over there. Went right over there, rode all around them mules. Anyway, long story short, what was the difference? The difference was, number one, I used my spurs. Spurs tells this animal, don't decide that you're going to do your thing. We're going to go forward. We're going to go across that creek. We're going to go across that mud hole. We're going to go across that river, wherever. Folks, if that animal just goes in there by himself, that's all well and good. But he did it for himself. He didn't do it for you. So there's the story. You use your legs and you use spurs. When you're using spurs, you use the side of your calves to ask, side of your stirrups to tail, your spurs to demand. That's what you do. Hey, Dave, you there?
I'm still here. Sometimes we just like to wind Steve up and let him go. No, it's good. And it's good to hear. And the thing is you never graduate the ground foundation training. That come along rope is a communication tool, but it's also a tune-up tool. It's also something you always go back to. It's not like, okay, I'm good. Now I just ride with a rope halter, and now I just ride with my bit, or now I just ride with my bozales. No, you go back to that come along rope and use that come along hitch to work out some of the more refined communication things, so that you can get a better ride and communicate, more clearly with your animal. So it's always good to hear. And I think, folks, it's important to note that you will never graduate ground foundation training. There will not come a day where you will not need the come along rope. If you come out and you're a part of any clinics that we've got here, we do one every spring, or just about every spring. But if you come out, you'll see Steve spends the majority of the time using a come along rope. We'll go into the round pen and use the Sur single. We'll do some rope halter. We'll do some saddle fitting, but the majority of the time we've got the come along rope, and that's what we're using. Jan is watching from Chino Valley, says, have you ever been able to get a saddle donkey to cross a river?
Oh yeah, no problem at all. That's, the biggest thing, folks, you got to remember is you got to use your legs. And you've got to have spurs on them legs. Oh, spurs. Oh, I'm worried he's going to butt me off. I'm worried he's going to get mad at me. He'll get over it. Okay? Just like your daddy when he put the paddle to your butt the first time. Okay? You will make sure you don't do it a second time. Yes, you can get him across water. How would I start? Here's my foundation. Come along rope. All right? First, you teach them 3, 6, 9, 12, all those steps. 3 one day, 6 another, 9 another, 12 another. You can spread that over a 5-month time frame if you want. Okay? You can do that. So, and don't train every day. Worst thing you can do, folks, train every day. So now I go back. I take my come along rope and I do like I show on that video and teach my mule to back up, to go right, to go left, to go forward. I do all that. Once I do that with my donkeys, with my mules, then I take and set up a little trail course. All right. I got me a blue tarp. At first, that blue tarp is folded up to be a 4x4. 4x4. And I teach the mule first, my donkey first, to go around the tarp, right and the left. Every time I do, I always turn into the problem. Never turn away from the problem, folks. Don't say, okay, you don't want to go forward, we'll take you back. All you do is give them what they wanted, even for a few split seconds. So let's go back. Then you open that tarp up to where it's bigger and bigger, as big as you want. And then you teach them to walk across the tarp one step at a time. Not jumping, not going fast. And just because they do it on their own don't mean nothing. They have to do it according to you bumping with the come along rope. Notice I said come along rope, not rope halter. The rope halter is not the important part, folks. The come along hitch for the next 6 months, a combination of both. In 3 months, training 4 to 6 hours a week, you usually will start introducing the rope halter adjusted with the come along rope underneath, the rope halter on top, and you use the come along rope to do your maneuvers with. You then back it up, the same maneuver with the come along with the rope halter, and in 6 months, wean off of the come along rope and just use the rope halter. But you will never, ever, ever completely graduate. That's a good idea, Dave. Good one on you. Graduate with the come along rope. You will always be using it to tune the animal up. That's your tune up. Why is that? Because they care about their nose, Dave, right?
More than anything else.
Absolutely. You want to keep them tuned up. It's not their mouth. It is their nose. And you must use the come along rope. And then when you got them in a surf angle, use a properly adjusted rope halter.
All right. Let's see here. Moving right along. Daryl's watching from Evergreen, Alabama. Sunny and 83. Steve is drinking a cup of coffee to you there. Coffee by David, Come Along Coffee, Ask, Tell, and Demand Blend. We're drinking to you today, Daryl. CT is watching from Washington State, rainy and chilly. AZ is watching, AZ Highland Homestead. Nick here in the mountains of Arizona. Good to have you, Nick. Hey, Richard Matthews. Good afternoon, Chaplain Steve and Dave. Good afternoon,
There's a
Captain.
good
Good to have
captain
you.
there.
That's right. Linda, our friend out in Ohio, the mule servant, and Theo, the sweet one-eyed mule from a cool, crisp, rural central Ohio today. It's always good to have Linda join us. Y'all, in the comment section, I'll tell you what, Linda is always on a roll. Today you are our official comment, like, chat with everybody person, Linda, because you're doing it every single week. Linda is someone who's been watching and hanging out with us for the last couple of years. Theo is the luckiest mule in the world, and I think Linda would probably say that she thinks of herself as the luckiest owner in the world, just learning what she can from Theo. So it's good to have you here, Linda. David is watching from East Texas, 85 degrees, waiting for the rain to come this evening. We're waiting for the rain to come all the time, and it pops up every now and again, but we're always waiting for it. Hey, Ron and Virginia are watching from Berg Hill, Ohio, sunny and nice. We received your Foundation Colt starting DVD set. I've played them to my mule Daisy, and I don't think she gets it. We really like the videos, and they have a ton of info, and we are learning a whole lot. Thanks. Love hearing that. Thank you so much, guys, and don't hesitate to reach out if there's anything we can do to clarify or help you get a little bit more out of those. Yolanda, hey, here we go. We've gone international. Yolanda holding down the unofficial Queen Valley Mule Ranch in Europe. She says, "Yo, mules, they are they are though as rocks hard, tough as rocks to crack, and very personal, and they know how to handle you." That's right. A horse says, "What? I'll do whatever you want me to do." A mule says, "I want to see your resume."
Sounds like my
Linda.
wife.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to stop here for a second. I was thinking about it today. I know we don't talk about work. I know most of us, this is an escape for most of us, but I was walking around and I was thinking, you know what? There's lots of things that I wish I might have achieved with my business. And there's lots of things I might have wished I would have achieved by now with my career. But then I stepped back and I thought about it and I said, you know what? I may not have the things that I want on my resume, but I have the family photos that I will never regret investing in, right? Like I don't have my resume filled out maybe the way that I would have by the time I was almost 40 years old. But if I look at my family photo, I'll be like, well, that's something I can be proud of right there. So a little bit of a leadership moment there, a little bit of a leadership moment.
Good for
Herd leader here, herd leader in training. Linda says, now that my rotator cuff rebuild has healed, glad to hear that, Theo and I are refreshing our groundwork. Both of us are rusty. We are working on back, as you instructed, standing in front of him and shaking the come-along rope until he shows the slightest movement backward, then holding the rope still and slack. How long do I wait between attempts, and how do I reward him? A good boy. Do I step into his space and scratch him? Stepping into his space seems to break the spell. He thinks he's all done. So this is a great question. This is one of those deals where you go from, okay, you've got the technique down, but now we want to work on refinement. And so what she's talking about here, folks, is with the come-along rope on, you don't need to yank back and forth, because if you've got it placed properly, is it 3 fingers or 2 fingers above their nostril, Steve? 3 or 2?
2 fingers.
2 fingers above their nostril. It's a sensitive area, and you don't need to be pulling real hard. All you have to do is just the slightest bit of tension gets their attention, so to speak. And then as soon as they show a response, that's when you stop, because they've got it. And it's all about timing. So that's what she's talking about. She's got the come along rope, just 2 fingers above the nostrils. She's working on backing up. She's not yanking it like this, and she's not pulling back and forth. She's just slightly back and forth. So Steve, go ahead and share what she needs to do here.
Yeah, so, okay, what we're looking for is building a foundation to get there. Our ultimate goal is I pick up the lead rope and I go right, left, right, left. I barely move my hands, right, left, right, left. And as I'm doing that, every time I go right, left, it's rolling on the nose, and I'm asking my mule, my donkey, to back up. Okay, that's what I'm doing. Right, left, right, left. That's my ultimate goal. Now, it may start out that I have to do it like this: ask, tell, demand. So I'm going to ask, right, left. I'm going to tell, right, left. And then I'm going to turn my hand and get a hold of that rope, and I'm going to bump it down hard. And I'm going to demand, bump, 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 until they move. Now, sometimes they will brace into the ground, brace really hard. Okay, be careful, because they could kind of rear up a little bit. With any of these animals, folks, with any of these animals, you got a chance of getting hurt. I don't care how small they are, how large they are. All of them can step on a toe. All of them can drop you to the ground. They can do it. Okay, so ask, tell, demand. Your ultimate goal is this. Let's just say, okay, I've asked Cleo right, left to go back. And Cleo, there's nothing happens. Now I go right, left, nothing happens. She kind of looks at me, but she does not move her feet. Then I turn my hand and I bump straight down real hard. Bump, bump, bump. And as soon as the foot moves, I stop. Then I come back again. Right, left. Okay, right, left. And she, all of a sudden, she moves a little bit. That's perfect. So now my second one was better than my first one. So now I go again and I stop. Now, you folks, you do not have to pet them each time you do it. And I especially don't pet the head when I'm training. I always pet the shoulder. It's a neutral zone. It's what they do naturally. When you see two animals come together face to face, what do you hear? Squeal. I am the biggest one. I'm the boss. No. Go to the shoulder with a little pet if that makes you feel good. But here's what you have to do. Really? Nothing. All you have to do is quit bumping. Because, see, they're looking for you to quit bumping them. So when you bump them really hard with that demand, bump, 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 that made them uncomfortable. So they'll think, oh, wait a minute. You asked, now you told me, now you demand. And then the next time you'll see it, you go right, left, really easy, and they'll move. They don't expect big movements, always expect small movements, all right? And listen, you just done shoulder surgery, and a lot of folks aren't real strong. That's okay. Do the best you can, okay? But make sure you understand that when you bump hard, that come along rope, even though it's waxed, and it's waxed to keep from moving up and down the head, that come along rope will move because it goes around the nose. And when you bump it, it goes wide and then close together, wide and close together. So it will crawl up the nose and go from 2 fingers to 3, and 3 is the maximum I want to be. But when it goes to 4, it's too high. Now you're on bone. The main thing you want to think about is here's the nostril right here. Right here is the round part that you see. Then as it goes up into the skull right here. So you want to keep that knot somewhere around in here, because what you're doing is shutting the wind off. That's what you're doing. You're shutting the wind off. Using that come along rope is you're closing the mouth and the nose and making them quit. So just go small steps. Don't worry about the backing up. It's not that important right now. It is important, but if just get them to stop, and that a good stop will make a good backup.
Very good. David says, I've heard Steve mention that when we take the come along rope off, we should move away before the mule does. My Molly stands still until I take the last loop off, then moves off even if I hold the neck. What are your thoughts there, Steve? Number one, is he right? And then number two, why is that the case? And if the animal wants to move, how do you correct it?
Yeah, well, okay, here's number one. When I still got the loop around the neck, I've taken it off around the nose, I've taken it off from the ears, and I still got it on the neck. I'm going to take my other end of my rope and put it down around the neck. Just put the loop over and put it down and kind of hold on to it. And then I'm going to slowly take my loop, which I'm making pretty big because I don't want it to be small and push it on the ears. I'm going to make it pretty big and pull it up over top of the ears, nice and slow. You're moving too fast. Go slow. So if the mule see every move's a picture, and you're holding it with your other hand so that when you feel her move, bump with the other hand, she thinks she's still tied up. So then as you let it down, you turn and walk off and let go of the rope as you're walking. Okay? Always remember, folks, when you take a halter or a bridle off of a mule, always point toward the gate, because here's what happens. You can get yourself seriously hurt if you go and have them pointing off out and the gate's behind you, and you go ahead and take the halter off, and they're thinking, whoopee, I get to go do my own thing, and they kick out and they kick you in the face. It's happened. I've got clients it's happened to. Always turn them toward the gate and take your time. You pull the halter rope, the come along rope off nice and slow. Hold your other end where you still got it around their neck, and as you walk away, let go.
Very good. Let's see here. Doc is watching. Hi, Dave and Steve from Montana. Montana, the place I want to be. Yolanda says, wish I could ride my mule again. That's right. Yolanda's had a lot of problems out there with her mule, and you know, she's done everything that she can, and just a tough situation. Heart goes out to you, Yolanda. Nancy is watching. Nancy and Donkey here from Mountain City, Tennessee, 74 degrees and cloudy. My donkey has a salt block but has stopped licking it. He's gone to eating the soil out of my planters. Sounds a little bit like my 2-year-old. Planters are the corner post of his pen and area. Question. Is loose mineral salt okay to give him? I let him out in the field twice a week for 3 hours. He digs up the ground and eats it too.
Okay, so now he's telling you he's lacking something more than salt. So what type of feed are you feeding? You see, these mules and donkeys have to have zinc. They've got to have a lot of zinc, okay? So this donkey is lacking a mineral and can find it in that ground. So look at your feed and figure out what you got in there. Go to my website. Mules cannot stand prosperity. And folks, listen, anytime I say mule, apply it to your donkey. Apply it to your donkey, because you got to remember that mule is half donkey. And because it is, you can use your same techniques, vice versa. Can do that. All right, let's go back. Now, when you go and read that article, you will see the directions and the ingredients of that mule feed, okay? And no, you won't be able to find that feed in the stores because it's only in the Southwest here. It's what I designed with a really good guy a long time ago. And he's since passed on in his business, has sold and this sort of thing. Chuck Lakin, great guy, heck of a horseman, great horseman. Anyways, go on. So read the ingredients. And then here's the biggest thing you guys got to do. Get a hair follicle and get it tested. That's one way you can see where your donkey is lacking in its minerals, where your mule is lacking. Everybody listening to me, everybody that has a mule and donkey, you should find out what your mule and donkey is lacking for minerals and make sure you get it. Just giving them hay ain't going to get it, okay? It's not going to do it. And just giving them even my pellet, the Lakin pellet, won't do it for all of them. It is an example of where to start. But you get you a blood test or you get your hair follicle test, contact your veterinarian, have them test that thing, and then they'll tell you what. Folks, just don't throw them feed. That's the same as you and I going in a smorgasbord, and we're paying for that now, aren't we? Huh? That big old belly, notice, okay? So, not you, Dave. You're too young. You don't have a belly. Okay, so here's the deal. Here's the deal, folks. When it comes down to your feed, it is the number one thing you need to make sure you are doing right. Number 2, teeth and chiropractor. Okay? Number 3, foundation training. From that, come along up, go from there. Okay, Dave?
That's right. Let's keep moving right along here. Let's see. Reggie is watching from North Dakota, rainy and cold here today. And with that, I just want to say, if you're just tuning in, just hanging out with us, and just hopping on, welcome. My name is Dave, and this is Steve Edwards. Every Wednesday, we get together and do this. Of course, if I'm chasing crocodiles in Florida, then it might be a little bit different. But other than me chasing crocodiles in Florida, we get together, talk mules and donkeys. So if you've stumbled on here and you're just thinking like, who is this city slicker with this cowboy? Well, I'm the city slicker. He's the cowboy, if you couldn't tell. And we just talk mules and donkeys. Steve and I have known each other for well over a decade. He's a second father to me, and I'm one of sons to him. And we just hang out and chat mules and donkeys. I've learned a lot, but more importantly, so many lives have been changed through just understanding the way these animals are meant to be communicated with. So we do this. We want to know that you're watching. So number one, put your name, where you're watching from, and what the weather's like in the comment section. And the reason we do that is because Steve and I can text and call and hang out anytime we want. This is really a time for us to do this together, and we want to know that you're here. We want to acknowledge you. We believe that you have value, you have worth, and you just being here is an honor to us. And so we want to acknowledge you just in appreciation for you spending time. The second thing is you ask any and every question that you've got. There is no question that we have answered too many times. There is no question that is a dumb question. We really want you to enjoy life to the maximum, and these animals really do help make that happen. And then the third thing is we ask that you share the broadcast, and the way you do that on YouTube is by subscribing to our channel and liking the video. Heck, go ahead, leave a comment as well. That lets the YouTube algorithms know that, hey, there's something worth checking out here, and they'll recommend our videos to other folks. And if you're on Facebook, go ahead and tag friends or family members in the comment section. Let them know that you stumbled on a cowboy that loves mules, and you finally found him. It's the best kept secret, and you want to share. So with that, let's keep trucking along here. Yolanda says it will take a long time before she can ride again. Mary is from Michigan, gloomy but 69, rode 4 hours, but not on a mule. Hopefully it was something worth riding for 4 hours. Let's see. Got a cow. Doc says, got a cow kicking my mule, but she's like only half serious. It's real slow. So I don't know if there's a question in there. Do cows kick mules, Steve?
Okay, here's the deal. What she's doing is she's taking her back leg and she's kind of kicking forward. Okay, not back. She's kicking forward. What she's saying is, don't do that. Whatever it is you're doing. Maybe you're adjusting a britching. Maybe you're hooking up the back cinch. Either way, she is she's asking you not to do that. Then she can tell, and then she can demand. Put the come along hitch on her, and when she cow kicks at you, you try and break her nose. That's how serious it is. Because if you don't fix it now, she'll cow kick you and connect. Listen, a mule can kick a gnat in the head and know exactly where she kicked that gnat. Get that in your mind. They can do that. She's warning you. She's telling you that she's asking you, don't do whatever it is. I don't know what you're doing, but it doesn't make any difference. She has no right, none, to kick at you, folks. Don't ever allow that.
Awesome. Let's keep moving along. Nancy and Donkey lost you on Facebook, so I switched over to YouTube. Oh, I hope folks aren't having problems on Facebook. Nancy, that's the first thing I've heard, but if anybody else is having problems on Facebook, let me know. Let's see here. Hey, Sue Callahan is watching from Kingman. Good to have you here, Sue. Doc says that it's snowing in Montana. Nice. Let's see here. Bill says he's sharing to Mules of Ohio. Thank you, Bill. Jan says, okay, thanks. I've got my saddle donk to where she'll cross streams, but I'm wondering about getting her to cross the Rio Verde, deep and moving. Woo! Never had a problem with my now dearly departed mule, but as you know, saddle donkeys want to know even more than your resume. That's true. Yeah, so it sounds like she's got some progress, but she's wanting to make sure she's in good shape when she goes to a much bigger cross.
Yeah. I mean, it's like anything else. It's your abilities to do it. Now, crossing water, getting into water, you're at the most dangerous part of riding any equine is in water, because you never know when you're going to have a deep hole you step into. It's kind of like coming off of a mountain. You never know where there's going to be a tree root someplace to get that mule hung up and fall down. Folks, I've been there. It don't feel good. When you got an animal rolling on top of you when you're in water, that's scary. So just be careful and enjoy.
All right. Linda says, Dave, you're just a puppy. Plenty of time to fill in a resume. You've been following the right guidance, and I think you know it. And she's got guidance in G. That's right. Yeah, I've been walking with Jesus since I was 8 years old. When I was 14, I decided that that's really what I wanted my life to be about. And so I'm very, very, very blessed for my parents. I'm very blessed for people like Steve in my life. You know, Steve, I remember first time I ever rode, we were riding in your backyard. I was riding on Stacy. I think you were riding on Pearl, was it? Were you riding on Pearl?
Could have been. I don't
Could have
know.
been. So we were riding,
Yeah.
I don't know, 15 years ago, something like that. Yeah, it was about 15 years ago because I was newly married. So we're walking, and I said, Steve, what what is the thing that you most appreciate about God? And it was this combination of grace and forgiveness. And Steve just shared a little bit of his life, and it being a young married man, no kids at the time, but being a young married man and being able to just hear him share his experience, his life, experiencing God's grace and forgiveness. It made a deep impression on me. So it's just a testament to, if you've got younger folks in your life, whether they're asking or not, they're listening and they're watching and they soak it up and they're taking it in, whether they tell you to or not. And it may take 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, but when they need that, they'll be able to recall on it. So thank you very much, Linda. Appreciate that. James is watching from Western Maryland, 68 degrees and mild. Let's see here. AZ Highland says, that's right there. That right there is a great trip. I was wondering the same. Cowboy Ken, 60 degrees in Vermont, I think. Is VT Vermont?
Yes.
VT Morant. Hey, Cowboy Ken is in Vermont, not Connecticut. Good to have you here. Thanks for hanging out with us, even on the road. David O'Brien says, thank you. Let's see here. Yolanda says, will extra zinc help her heal better?
Well, I don't know about extra zinc, but these animals need that zinc, folks. They really do. If anytime I've done any type of testing or worked around these animals, they've had some type of mental thing or some type of, when I say mental thing, all of a sudden they act like a horse, where they do silly things. So that's a possibility. But see, Yolanda, she's got it tough herself. I mean, she's been in the hospital just recently and had some pretty serious health issues, and her mule is all crippled up, and it's from a lot of issues. It's improper trimming, improper care, folks. You know, if you don't have good tires on your vehicle, you're going to have a wreck someday. And it's the same thing with these animals. You know, understand what ring bone is, understanding what a rotated coffin bone is, are all things that really are important. Okay. And you got to ask questions. And Yolanda, she's really tried, Dave. She's tried so hard to understand her mule and why things are going. She found a skeletal structure in a museum there in the Netherlands. Now, she's from the Netherlands, folks, and she found a skeletal structure in a museum that had a horse and a donkey. And she sent me pictures, and David, you probably still got them. I don't know, but anyway, it's amazing how she wants to find the truth so that she can help her mule. Okay, and I beat it to death, folks. I have been there. I have done a lot of things to these mules I wish that I'd never done, but I never knew. Okay, so before I leave this earth, I want to make this contribution to the mule and donkey world. Whatever I can do to help you, I want to do it, folks. Okay. I don't want to hear this thing of, oh, it won't work. Give it a try first. Okay. I just got a really nice email from a lady, Dave, and she says, well, I'll just try this Steve Edwards thing out. Nothing else has worked. They've had the chain on the donkey and all this stuff. She said she put that come along rope on that donkey, and less than 5 minutes later, everything was changing. Everything, okay? And so, folks, whatever I can do to help you, I'm going to do it, okay? And don't worry about it. And when it comes down to whatever question I can help you with, if I've been there, I've probably did it a half a dozen times and screwed up doing it.
So we got a question here from Joel. He says, we purchased a 4-year-old mule that has 60 days riding on him. Should we continue with the Martingale? He definitely needs more work. He definitely needs more work. What would you say there to Joel?
Okay, folks, look, 6 months builds a foundation. 6 months. And not just riding. We think, we always think the end result. It's like the end result when you come to know Christian, be a Christian, and you know the end result, you're going to go through them pearly gates. All right. But in the meantime, while I'm here on this earth, I want to make a change. Okay. And not just in the mule and donkey world and other people's lives. So let's go back. 60 days, only thing that does is start telling that mule there's another world besides his equine world. That's not training. Only thing that is starting to build a foundation. For 6 months, I'm going to run that come along hitch. I'm going to use it. For 6 months, I'm going to use that rope halter on that surcingle in the round pen. For 6 months, I'm going to put the Mule Rider's Martingale on that mule. And I'm going to put it in the round pen with the surcingle for 6 months. All right. And when I ride, I'm going to be using that Mule Rider's Martingale. Now, get this in your mind, folks. You know, I ride a little bit. And when I ride, I'm usually punching cows or I'm usually hunting. Okay. And when I'm out there punching cows, I don't put my finished bit on my mule. I don't. I use that Mule Rider's Martingale. Why is that? Someday when you got a bull chasing you, a bull or a cow that wants to thump you, you'll know why I got that Mule Rider's Martingale, because that Mule Rider's Martingale sets the head, sets the body, sets everything in place. And if I'm in trouble, I know I can get that mule to do what I need to do with the Mule Rider's Martingale. Now, you can blow it out the door, folks, when it comes down to finish work using a finished bit. Because you get out there on the side of that mountain and you have a turkey fly up in front of you, or you have a cow that you can't go to, you're going to wish you had that Mule Rider's Martingale to control. Because when because of fright kicks in, my finished bit, no finished bit, folks, is going to stop that mule. When they feel that their life is in danger, they're going to go. And that's one thing I can say about that Mule Rider's Martingale. When I use it and I'm in trouble, I get it. Now, do I use my finished bit? Yeah, I use it a lot. Okay. Do I keep it with me everywhere I go? Absolutely. I don't put it in my saddlebags. I don't do that because I don't use saddlebags for one thing. But let me tell you, when it comes down to it, these mules want to go. This is what they're going to do, folks. They get it from their daddy, the donkey, and they get it from their mother, the horse, but mostly daddy, the donkey. They stick their nose out. They get a hold of that bit. They tighten their throat latch. They tighten all 5 neck muscles, and they are gone. And you hear people say, Steve, I tried to turn them around in a circle and couldn't stop them. They ran sideways. Yes. They'll run just as fast sideways through their shoulder. You don't disengage hindquarters on a mule. You disengage the shoulder. They can run just as fast with their shoulder as they can straight ahead. Now, if you go to a trainer or if you go to a clinic and the clinician says, disengage hindquarters, listen, folks, that is horse training. That is horse training. That's horse training in a mule costume. They sound like a mule guy. They may be riding a mule, but if they say disengage hindquarters, that's not mule training. If they say put the halter way up here, that's not mule training. If they say use a smooth snaffle bit, that's not mule training. If they ride without a breeching, that's not mule training. If they ride without a rear cinch being tight, that's not, they don't understand mules, folks. They don't, you know. I don't mean to be quite so critical, but when it comes down to this stuff, you need to understand that you're riding an animal that can take you out in a matter of split seconds. I've got 32 broken bones and 2 replaced hips because I've been there. I know what it's like to have them run through a barbed wire fence. I know what it's like to have them jump off of a cliff. Yeah, I know. You know, I know what it's like to hit the ground. You know, and I'd like to try to keep some of you from that. So going back to this 60-day wonder, so what? So what? Somebody's been on their back and ridden them around and probably created, and I know I'm going to be mean here, but comes the truth, probably created 10, 15 other problems that's going to show up in his training later on. There is what I see all the time in these 60, 90-day wonders. Sooner or later, there's going to be a hole. It's going to show up because that trainer understands horses more than mules. Well, see, he rides nothing but mules. Well, I'd like to see him ride, especially if he's riding with a smooth snaffle bit. No.
Yeah.
I got chasing again.
Yep, that's right. All right, let's keep moving on here. Jim from Alabama is watching. 81 degrees and sunny, low humidity. AZ Highland Homestead. I've heard some say to wait until the mule is 4 years old to get a great mule to work with. What challenges are there with a younger mule that might not be with one that's just a little older?
Well, a young mule, I always prefer riding a younger mule and I do older ones because they usually have so many problems. I don't know why every mule and every horse is 12 or 13 years old, mainly because they're supposed to be the prime of their life. But listen, folks, a 3-year-old mule, you want to be concerned about their knees being closed. So 3 years old, pretty much a guarantee, but don't believe it all the time. Always have your veterinarian look at the knees, have them do a sonogram on it or an x-ray to make sure the knees are closed. Otherwise, the nice thing about a 3-year-old, unless somebody's been riding it and dicking around with it, there you got a clean slate. A clean slate. Even if they put 60 days on it, folks, you still got a clean slate. You still got an opportunity to fix what they did. Start from the ground first and go from there.
All right, let's see here. Next question. This one comes in from Richard. We have 3 donkeys, 2 jennies, and 1 jack. Jack is very well mannered, and we were told by the previous owner that the jack had been ridden. We've now have him in good health, and we would like to ride him in our pasture and mostly lead him with our 6-year-old granddaughter on him. With no more than we would be riding him, would it be okay to ride him with a bareback and save the cost of a saddle that would be used very little? So what would you say there to Richard?
Well, Richard, if I'm going to have one of my grandkids ride something, I am not going to have their feet in the stirrups. It's too easy to have one of them kids fall off, get hung up in a stirrup, and have a back leg from a mule hit them in the head because they're dangling that way. I know it's a bad picture, but I need you to get that in your mind. Okay? So bareback, absolutely. Get them a bareback pad with a handle on it, no stirrups. These kids don't, my kids were not riding in the stirrups till they were about 6 years old, where they could ride with their legs and they can learn to set a stirrup. So now you said jack. Now, is it a gelded? Because there is jacks and jennies. But I want to make sure that he's gelded before you put one of those kids on him.
All right. We'll hear back from Jack. That was over email. I got a message here and from YouTube. It says, I understand that mules are overwhelmingly sterile, but every now and then one is born that is not sterile. Is it not possible to selectively breed those mules and produce mules that are not sterile?
Well, I've yet to know anybody that in any of the history that I know about a mule giving birth to a mule, I've never heard of it being done a second time. And I've never heard of using AI to do one. Okay. So I imagine people have tried it, but I don't know of anybody that's been able to produce a second mule out of a mule.
All right, going back to Nancy, she says, I give him 3 scoops of pellets a night. I check the label, and it's the closest to Lakin Lite I can find.
Okay, and that's good. Close to Lakin Lite, and that's good. But let's be sure, Nancy. Let's be sure. If that donkey is eating the dirt, it's looking for minerals that it does not have in the feed. So get your vet to do a hair follicles test or a blood test and find out what that donkey, because that donkey's telling you, I'm in trouble here. I need to know, I need this. All right. They don't just eat dirt. Now, here's the downside about this too, Nancy. Once you think about that, is that it's a good way for them to get colic, sand colic, from eating too much dirt. Okay. It's a good possibility. So, folks, if they're eating a lot of dirt, you've got sand colic possibilities. There again, your vet can give you some pretty good ideas, but I like to use beet pulp, and I'll get it wet. Let it soak, and then give it to them soaked. And then that way, that beet pulp will actually take sand out with them, but it'll also help make their digestive system work good. Okay, they need they need the what's it called? They need the roughage to be able to rub against the intestines to get the animal to be able to run everything out through the intestines and out the underneath the tail.
Awesome. Let's see. Reggie says, ask your vet for a baseline mineral blood test to have on file. It's cheaper, and any vet worth its salt can help, but can't help but tell you any deficiencies. Nick in Prescott is watching, 60 degrees and sunny. Let's see here. Doc says, no, a cow kicking a mule. She's giving warning. This is in the dang field when she's loose. Cow kicking a mule. She's giving a warning. This is in the field when she's loose. Does that, let's see. He says, thanks. So I'll put a come along rope. Oh, hold on one second. Thanks. I'll put a come along rope on her and then wait till she decides to do a cow kick, then bump her nose good. There we go. Myra says, hello, Steve and Dave. Nice fall weather here in California. Spending more time developing clear communication and becoming a better rider. Thanks for all your tips and information. Glad to do it. Myra. Yolanda says, Steve, do you sell mule feed so I can order it for her to heal her up better? In this country, it is fighting against brick wall. Simply don't want to listen. I'm tired of fighting after the brain stroke I got last Wednesday. Oh goodness, Yolanda, I'm so sorry to hear that. Steve, why don't you sell the mule feed?
It takes, if you ever see a meal and what they do, it's phenomenal. I helped develop it through Chuck Lakin and with Lakin, and also through Star Milling in California. But it's just one of them things I just don't want to get into. I want to make the suggestions and getting the vitamins and minerals. You guys can actually get just a plain grass pellet or even alfalfa pellet. If you're kind of hung up, the downside of alfalfa, it's not good for their urinary tract system, but you can get you a Bermuda pellet, and then you can add your vitamins and minerals and add the vitamins and minerals you need. Now, that reminds me about the lady who was talking about the salt block, and then her mule went out and donkey started going out and eating dirt. It's okay, folks, to take and get your mineral salt. Don't buy mineral block. It's a waste of money. Your plain salt. It's okay to get the granulated salt. I've even used the salt that's in the soft water things. I've even taken that with me and used that and put it in with the feed. It really works good. But when they stop eating that salt, that means there's another problem that they have that we need to figure out. And let us know. Keep us in touch.
AZ Highland Homestead says, following Jesus is the best decision one can make. There is no other way to heaven but to put your faith and trust in Jesus for the forgiveness of your sin. Glad to hear your testimonies, fella. Yep. Amen. Agreed. Tony in Port Angeles, Washington. Cloudy in 54. Hey, Jackie's watching. Howdy from Prescott, Arizona. Beautiful today. 60 degrees and sunny. Had a session with my 17-year-old Yogi, the mule. We're doing foundation work and now using the Mule Riders Martingale with your Sir single. He's doing real great. Question regarding the mounting block. He will stand just fine most of the time, but every now and again he will just move off. Any suggestions for standing still at the mounting block when saddled?
Okay, so number one, the come along hitch. I have it right there. I like to have a second person kind of standing off with the come along hitch. Pardon me. But most of all, and then when she does move, I use the come along rope to bump the face. Now, if you can set your timing okay, when you're on the mounting block, you can still use the come along hitch, because if she's well trained to the come along hitch, all you got to do is barely bump it when she goes to move her feet. Now, here's the thing, Dave, with everybody, it's your timing. That's the great thing about the come along rope, is it helps your timing time the right time. If the feet moved, your timing was off. You want to do it when the mule, listen to this, and the head comes up, the feet are going to move. So watch the head. The nose should be tipped towards you. You're getting on from the near side. The nose should be slightly tipped towards you where you can kind of see the eye. And then when you go to step on and you go to throw your leg across, she should stand still and quiet the whole time. Now, here's the thing. When she moved, it's because you taught her how, okay? And you did it inadvertently. It happens all the time. And when I'm teaching my classes on this, I teach people that, look, you taught her to go ahead and move. How? Why? Because as soon as you got on, you rode off. You didn't wait there long enough to teach her. You should be able to get on and off. 3, 6, 9, hear this? 3, 6, 9, 12 times before you go riding off. So 3 today, climb on and off. A week later, 6. 2 weeks later, if you want, 9 and 12. You do not have to train every day. But folks, when you ride off, they think that's got to go. Now, here's the other thing, too. Remember this, is that mule is trying to get its footing when you go to get on. You're using your weight. Now, here's what people do. They get the back of the cantle, they get the horn, and they climb on. Don't do that. When you get on, you use the mane, you use the horn, and you get on. How many of you have been watching Grit? Everybody right down the bottom here, all of you that's been watching Grit, right down. You will see all them cowboys, every one of them, grab the horn, grab the mane, climb on. You don't see a real working cowboy grab the back of that saddle. So that's the other thing you got to practice. When you get a hold of that horn, you give it a good shake and get that mule's feet, all 4 feet stuck to the ground, so that they know that when they feel that horn shake, that horn says, you stand still and quiet.
All right. We've got Fiery Waco watching from Rockwall, Colorado, where Rockwall County, Texas, where it's always mule weather. And I had barbecue in Rockwall, Soul Man Barbecue. Very, very good barbecue in Rockwall, Texas. Karen is watching. Karen Whitehead from California, catching you a little late. Had to clean the chicken coops today so I can ride my Sally Mae tomorrow at Yosemite. Ooh, that's going to be a good one. Send pictures. Let's see here. Doc says, good idea. Ride with no stirrups. Let's see here. I think that's just about everything. I got a couple more here. Steve, do you have a couple more minutes?
Sure, go ahead. Fire it up.
Can you use this one's from Jen over on watching one of our other YouTube videos. Can you use an English saddle with a mule? I ride in a dressage saddle and wanted to be sure if that would be a good one for to invest in invest in a specific mule saddle.
Don't use an English saddle on a mule, folks. It's only 1 cinch. And look at every time you see these mules, You see them jumping, and boy, they're really pretty and stuff. Where's that saddle? On top of the scapula. Oh, I'm riding my mule. No, you're crippling your mule, and you're not just doing it, you're doing it over a length of time. That saddle has to have a rear cinch. All your saddles that you're riding, you have to use the rear cinch. Now, I don't know where these folks get it off where they say this is a mule saddle, other than putting a name on it that says mule saddles. We don't sell mule saddles. We only sell Steve Edwards saddles. Way different. Number one, the rear cinch has to be the tightest. Okay? Number two, when you put a saddle on, my saddle on, don't put your hand on the horn and hand on the cattle and rock it back and forth and say it won't work, it rocks. You're right. You know why it rocks? Because of the fat pocket on the 6th and 7th rib on that mule. And it rocks on that fat pocket. When you put my saddle on, you put your hand in the center of the seat. That's where you set. On my 19.5-inch bar, I want 15 inches roughly actually staying on the mule. In the front, there's 2.5, 3 inches. I want to stay off that scapula, and I want to stay off that working area. In the back, I want anywhere from 1/4 to 1/2 inch. I don't want that whole bar laying against that mule. Don't want it, okay? You're creating problems because up in the scapula area and that tendon area and behind that, you're creating problems. You're restricting the movement of that mule, okay? So there you go. Yeah, but Steve, it's got the big padding on it. No, every time it hits that scapula, folks, you're doing damage to that mule. So I wish I could tell you, I have tried to develop an English saddle that would work, and with that big, thick, heavy padding and stuff, I can't get it to do it, folks. The closest thing to it is an old McClellan saddle. And the McClellan saddle has the bars in the bars are incorrect for all mules and donkeys. No McClellan saddle works. Even the quote mule saddle. Well, how do you know if it's a mule saddle? It has to have a brass horn in order to be an authentic McClellan mule saddle. And also notice it has a rear cinch on it. Yes, it does. It does not have a crupper ring. You put a breeching on it and a rear cinch. But here's the downside about it is they've got the front cinch in the wrong place, just like most saddles do. There we are, Dave.
Steve, Charlie sent a message, says, I've heard people at my barn say that mules are smarter than a horse. My trainer said you can almost get a horse to do anything out of fear and that they spook more than a mule. Mules have more logical way of thinking through than just spooking the second they don't want to perform a task or get scared. What do you think?
Well, in general, you're right, okay? But you still have flight and fright. You're going to have it. They're all going to spook. It'd be nice if they'd spook into place, but it's going to be you, the rider. Remember that I give you the examples of the bears and the cows? Listen, folks, I've even hunted mountain lion on mules. I know what it's like to have a mountain lion right there just above me. I know what that's like. And I know that seeing I can move my mule to move that cat. I can do that, okay? But there you go again, folks. Just because they've been to Colorado and packed up and down them mountains, just because they've hunted in Wyoming, just because they've hunted in New Mexico, don't mean diddly, okay? All those hours and what they've done don't mean nothing, especially if you don't know how to ride, okay? That's really, really important. So, yes, I don't ever offer me a green mule and a broke horse. I will take the green mule just for his brains.
All right, let's see here. I've got another one. This one comes from Ontario, Canada. This is Wildfire. I have a 13-hand high mule in Ontario, Canada. How can I get a saddle from you and make sure that it fits? Steve, you're going to sell saddle over the internet? How do I know it's going to fit me and my mule?
Well, I've got a lot of saddles in Canada where folks have bought them and this sort of thing, and just recently over in BC. But here's the thing, folks. If you go by most of these saddle makers, they say get 4 measurements, Send them to me and I'll make you a saddle. Well, here's the problem. You do that in January when he's fat and been sitting around, and you measure him again in July when you've been using him, two different measurements. Anyway, they can lose 100 pounds within a weekend ride. When you go into the tack stores, folks, and you see all those saddles, get this, there's only two main trees that they use. It's industrial standards. It's either quarter horse or semi-quarter horse or full quarter horse. So semi or full, in other words, wider, full, or semi, narrower. That's what it's going to be. So even if you bought A, B, C, D, E, F, G saddle, it's still going to have the same bars unless they think they can pull the wool over your eyes and call it a mule saddle. Then you're thinking, oh, the word mule, okay, I got her made. No, folks. Don't do that, okay? So let's go back. If you go online, you'll see I got a lot of happy customers all over the world. Hey, Yolanda, are you there in the Netherlands? Yes. Did my saddle fit your mule? I think Yolanda's going to say, yeah, she's in the Netherlands. I got them all over the world, folks, all over the world. And if you go online, you can see all the mules and the donkeys, okay, with my saddle on them, and they do just fine.
All right. We'll end with this. Oh, hey, Herschel's watching from Williamsburg, Missouri. Glad to have you here, Herschel. We'll do this the last.
Solid, Christy, ma'am.
Yeah, last question of the day. Tony says, what do you suggest for a pack saddle on a donkey?
Well, of course, the pack saddle is where I developed my riding saddle. I started with the pack saddle, packing freight, trying to figure a way to keep my mules sound, okay? And so I developed the pack saddle. It was adjustable. The bars were adjustable, and the arches were made wide and narrow. And I found out by using the adjustable pack saddle where the bars needed to be on every mule and every donkey because of the angles. Now, I don't sell those pack saddles anymore, but I do have a very good friend, Eric, from Mountain Ridge Gear, that you contact Eric, you tell him Steve Edwards sent him. He's using the exact bar on his pack saddles with my permission on his pack saddles. He has a wonderful product there in that pack saddle and with the pad as well. And the pack saddle is made by a very good friend of mine, Bob DeBow. It's a piece of artwork, folks. It's not like any pack saddle that you're going to see they call humane saddles that are made in China and this sort of thing. These are American made, that's made out of awesome wood, and every piece is handcrafted by Bob DeBow, which is my neighbor, very good friend, makes an excellent, excellent pack saddle. That's where I would go, Mountain Ridge Gear.
All right, that's it. Hey, everybody, thank you for hanging out with us. We went a little bit long this week, but I hope you guys enjoyed a little bit of, extra free Steve Edwards. Of course, these we do every week. They're free. They don't cost anything to attend, but we got an extra 15 minutes of more free from Steve today. So thank you for taking the time, Steve. If y'all need anything, you can go to muleranch.com. There's a lot of free, what did I just say? F-bomb free mule and donkey training, instruction, and information there. You can find all of Steve's saddles along with his tack and some additional paid instructional video, which really will help you gain trust and get results with your animals. If you need anything, you can always send a message to support@muleranch.com or give Steve a call, 602-999-6853. He's often out on the ranch working or taking care of the honey-do list, so leave a voicemail and he will get back to you. He gets about 80 voicemails a day, so he'll do his best to get back to you when he can. But bottom line is we want to help you. We want to make sure you get what you need. So reach out to us and we'll do our best to make sure you get just that. Steve, anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I want to do a shout out to Chad. He follows my training. He's got an hour of driving to get to work, and he listens to our videos and this sort of thing, and has been working with his colt. This colt has just flat given him fits. But I kept saying, do it like this. Just keep going. Don't worry about it. But Stevie keeps, well, don't worry about it. Keep on going. And now he's finally there. So he put forth the effort. Folks, it ain't just going to be a 5-minute warning, okay? 5-minute deal. It does take time, you know. It's just like when you come to know your Savior, you're not going to be that solid Christian overnight. Blessings to you. Pray for this United States. We need Christian leaders.
That's right. Thank you, everybody. Take care. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.